We are very excited to start this, our first set of conversations that we've christened Small Talk. And of course, very special welcome to both Hansa and Nina, um, our sort of artists for the day, voices, people we're waiting to hear, see, and think with. So, so just a few words about who we are, what we do, etc., because not everyone may know. Small Talk is like intended to be like a series. We don't know how long we'll last. We don't know how short it will be, but we're hoping to periodically have these conversations, between artists who inspire us, whose work interests us, who work across different media, who work with different forms, different kinds of artistic language, materials, ideas, and who are interested in dialogue, in dialogue, cross dialogue, dialogue between similar work, different approaches, different ideological positions, maybe different aesthetic practices, to sort of see what do we share, what are the challenges, what are the kind of terrain we want to explore, and sort of pick up, learn from each other, to hear and enthuse ourselves, and sometimes to help us reflect on our own work. Sometimes just talking about our own work makes us realize what our processes are. Certainly that's true for me. And I think that sometimes, you see your work through someone else's eyes, and then that makes you look at what you're doing. But for those of you who don't know really who Reframe is and what we do, etc., we are a somewhat new enterprise. Actually, we're on the cusp of 1 year. On the 1st of April, appropriately April Fool's Day, we mark 1 year. Okay, so we are. So this is just at the end of our first year, and our idea to come together was to create and support the creation of work across media on issues that confront us in these times. And so they could be, but thematically bound, but aesthetically, formally very different pieces. Okay, is what we are trying to do. And of course, आजकल India में challenges की तो कोई कमी नहीं है in our times. So there's a lot to be done. But what we started with is is something called Genderalities. It's a fellowship which looks at being women, being trans, being queer, being marginal, being minority, being vulnerable, being discriminated, all these intersections together. We have 9 fellows who are currently working, and we're hoping some of them will join us as the evening progresses. And they're working to create short stories, they're working to make films, they're doing online artwork, they're developing theatrical or musical performances, and an installation in a rural setting. So that we have quite a variety of fellows who are at work. And as they've been working and we've been working and we've been discussing and trying to, enrich each other's work and thoughts, we thought that why not do this with artists who may not be formally part of the Reframe process, right? Start conversations about the process of making, the making of things. What do we think? Why do we do them? What do we feel? And I think that in that sense, really, and I don't say this as a cliche just because both of you are here, when I spoke to both of you, I said I want to start with both of you, because in a way, you are filmmakers in a way, but that's too limited a definition. Not just because you also write and also theorize and also do other and teach and do other things, but because of how you approach it. The multiple ways and the ways in which you find stories to tell, or ways to tell stories that involve other aesthetic or craft practices. The way, and there your work is very different, but there's something about those interests that we felt can speak to each other. And actually, honestly, for everyone else, we've had a lovely time over the last some time talking between all of us about it. So today we're just going to really share that and much more that both Nina and Hansa have to give us. Many of you know both of their work, yeah, their range of work, etc. But what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a proper intro, because I think that's only fair for us to do. So I'm going to start with Nina. Nina is an artist and a storyteller who uses film, illustration, and writing to tell stories. She graduated in painting from the Faculty of Fine Arts, Baroda, and received a master's degree in film from Syracuse, New York, which she pursued as a Fulbright Fellow in '97. Her doctoral research focused on Rajasthan's carved storytelling traditions. After teaching for 2 decades at the NID, Nina has moved to Bombay and made it her home. She's currently a professor at the at the Industrial Design Center, IIT Bombay. Her research interests include exploring dynamics between words and images in storytelling. Her work in film and illustrated bookmaking is based on the rich practice of working with art as an ethnographic practice, a giving and taking of knowledge and of art to create historical records in a sense. And we'll hear more about this from Nina. You know, that interestingly can be owned by both Nina as her work, as well as by the artists and the artist communities with whom she collaborates. So I think that's a really rich mix. So to give you a flavor and just to remind you how lovely her work is, here's a short little trailer she kindly put together for us.
पर मेरी कहानी में तो ऐसा नहीं।
अच्छा, इसमें अलग है, वेरिएंट है।
पूरी अम्मा ने कहा
तो बताइए।
गांव-गांव में इसके लिए बताएंगे कि किस तरह से आप पानी को बचा सकते हो।
प्रकाश भाई हम आए नहीं चुका अपन 40 से 4 जन बैठा थे।
પોતાની રીતે એક બોલવાની એમનામાં ક્ષમતા વધે છે, પોતાની વાત કહી શકે છે.
આમાં તો મને મજા આવે, જો હાંજ થાય તો જાણે કે દીધું કે રાતનું કરા કે દીનું કરા કે મજા જ મજા પડી એ બંધ ના કરા જાણે સમજો એવું મજા આવે.
Thank you, Nina, for putting that together and for sharing it with us. Hansa, welcome. A little bit on Hansa. She's been practicing since 95. Short poetic narratives and a playfulness in making are areas of deep interest to her. She's worked with diverse media, writing, film, doll making, embroidery, and combinations of these. Her diploma film, Ji Karta Hai, was awarded the National Award, the Rajat Kamal. Her work, His City, a collaboration with old photographs taken by photographers for a local newspaper in Srinagar, and worked on with cloth and embroidery, is housed at the permanent collection in the Accademia dei Visionari in Italy. Her most recent films have been The Outside In, on 2 doll makers, and we'll be talking more about that, I think, today, and Natakam Lo Science, Science Lo Natakam, a short piece on children from the traditional theatre group Surabhi at Hyderabad. Hansa has also had a very long engagement with the Phalke project, which was spearheaded by Kamal Swaroop, who of course most of us know as the maker of the iconic Om Dar Badar. But this was also a very long and rich project, and some of her writings in this piece feature in Tracing Phalke, which have been published by NFTC. Hansa also teaches and conducts workshops with children, including with many people, including agents of Ishq, working with material to enable young people to talk about sexuality. Now, let me show you a little bit of her work.
उसके सूट देखे हैं, सोबर सी है, स्मार्ट भी है, पढ़ाती है स्कूल में, और कमाती कितना है? ऊन भी नहीं आएगा तुम्हारा उस पैसे में.
Why does she hold the loose meanings on and on, carefully in her arms, watching every pattern?
आपण घ्या स्वेटर
పైన లైట్ పెట్టినాం లైట్ పెట్టి అవి చేసినాం ఇంకా హారర్వి కూడా చేసినాం ఇక ధనుష్ ఉన్నాడా దెయ్యం చేసిండు ఆకాశ్ మే जा गया
It's a dialogue between two person, I can say. My material actually talks to me.
With this, I'm actually going to open up the conversation with both of you and ask you to reflect, maybe, if you would like to start on, on where you began, and did you see yourself reaching where you are both today? Is this what you thought you were going to be doing? How, something, were there surprises along the way about who you've become or what your practice has become? Nina, can I ask you first? Mike. Yeah, Mike.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Not at all.
Thank you, Vani. Thank you, Reframe, for having us, and so lovely to be with Hansa on the same platform. And the question you ask is, obviously there was nothing predetermined about, where one is, and but when I look back, I think there were signs all along, which maybe I didn't pay attention to then, but they were kind of propelling me towards where I am. And so starting with the college in fine arts, which allowed us to live in the realm of the imaginary and in the realm of the real, because you are looking at something and drawing, and yet you are in the other realm. So I think it was there, and also my teacher Nasreen Mohammadi, who kind of predicted, even though she had no idea about animation. She said one day to me when I was in my third year and really raring to be an artist, that I don't see you, as an artist.
She break your heart.
She broke my heart. She said, but I see you drawing and I see emotion. She was this very philosophical kind of a person, not philosophical in the academic sense, but she would arbitrarily say things, and then the penny drops maybe after even 30 years, who knows, so that was something she had predicted, and so it was really fate, that kept pushing me in that direction. And another teacher pushed me to go to NID, which I had no desire to go. I thought it was a very elitist institution, and it was not for me. But somehow, when you're supposed to be doing something, you're meant to do something, the paths kind of lead you in that way. So I think even my first 2 years in NID, I was really quite sure that this was just a stopgap thing, learning animation, because till around almost in the middle of my first and a half, for the first 2 years, the kind of animation we were doing, it was not something that excited me at all. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do that kind of Disney kind of animation. I have nothing against it. Lots of people do it. It's fine, but it wasn't something that really excited me. But then we had a professor who came from England, and then he showed us films from all, like there were films from Poland, and there were films from the National Film Board of Canada, and those were the kind of films that made me think, And he also said, you know, why can't you find your own visual language? Why do you have to, you know? So my first ever project started with the community of Madhubani artists, you know, and I made an anti-dowry film because, you know, NID, we had to do something very purposive, you know, it had to say something to society and all of that. And I wanted to work with the women. I thought I will teach them animation. And you know, when you're young, you have many, you know, dreams. You think you can do all those things. But actually, they said, तुमको painting खरीदना है, तुम खरीदो. तुमको जो इसके साथ करना है करो, you know. And we had some you know, conversations with them, and I think that was my first, you know, engagement with the community. And it only got, you know, more sort of, you know, accelerated after I started having conversations with my father when I made Mukund and Riyaz, I mean, many years later. But then, I mean, that sort of put me on this path of wanting to work with people's memories and their material, so to speak, you know. And with material, I also think memories are as much material as are tangible, you know, things. So I don't know if I've answered your question.
No, you have,
but
actually, and very, very beautifully.
That is all we can, yeah.
Hansa, you want to go, or do you want to ask? Do you want to respond to Nina? Whichever way you want to take the conversation.
I mean, I think what I can connect with in some ways is that for me, differently maybe, again and again, the thing that would I would say, no, not this. And I would say, like, I'm spending my life just going on saying, no, not this, no, not this. Matlab, what then, kind of a thing. And not quite this. And some of it I would, of course, feel is also fear. It's not like a simple, like, I think fiction filmmaking for certain, like in Bombay, that sense of fear कि अभी ये पैसा कहाँ से आएगा, certainly changed the way I और किससे जाके लोगे और क्या, you know, it's very nice when you're in FTII and तुमको सब मिल जाता है, and you make your film, वो भी grumbling कि अरे यार इतना ही time मिला script लिखने के लिए, kind of a thing, and you understand how collaborative it is, you know, it's like such a, it's like an industrial medium that is housed inside sort of very intimate surrounding. So you experience it so differently. That same, so it opens a possibility in your head कि ये चीज intimately की जा सकती है, but now how to realize it in the outside world. I think the Phalke project was a very Phalke project, and also the years spent with my friends in Bombay. I've been in Bangalore now for many years, and so many of them are filmmakers, artists. The Phalke project, because I returned to doing something which I had left doing, which was writing, which you used to write, and then when you come to a film school, it's like, you know, this film is this pure image, na? So iska writing se kya sambandh hai and all, and you also sort of, that makes it even harder. And I think the Phalke project, in so many ways, of course, there was validation from someone whose work you liked a lot, Kamal's. But it was also that I went into the early history of cinema, and I worked on one patch, which was Phalke's Children. Oh, by the way, I think that quote is Roberto Colasso's, the one that you read out, and I'm feeling extremely distressed that I haven't written, means the Garuda. It doesn't sound like my writing, but I suspect I shall.
No, I'll just check it up. Maybe I made the error.
कोई नहीं, but it's surely part of, वहाँ पे इतना एक scrapbook बन चुका है हर चीज का, which is also how I understood कि what are processes of art, and somehow filmmaking, in a way, I think we'd be wary of calling ourselves artists. Now I do not know, I have an exact answer for why that was so or is so, but I think the Phalke project opened up for me the early history of cinema. And suddenly what I began looking at was who were the people who made the language of this medium, and how they came from so many diverse mediums. The history of this medium is just, you know, and that was somehow very freeing also. You know, that Corona, it's like, you know, and plus video was there, and then the digital came, and then you began asking yourself why you were looking So even so, I don't think I've had a very long. I feel I've got back to practice just a few years ago in some ways, but I've kept practicing something. I think also I went once during the Falke project to the Baroda school where Nina studied, and that was like an eye opener for me because that feeling of having a space जहाँ तुम दीवारों पे अपना कुछ लिख रहे हो and you're drawing and you're painting, like she said, you're inhabiting these multiple worlds, was very attractive to me, and I tried to recreate it for myself in some way without knowing what the end of that was. I started, don't ask me, I started making these dolls, imagining that I was going to make a fiction, all sorts of, and then everything that you do finds its way into other things that you do, I think, and that's how I've sort of reached here. But what I wanted to ask Nina in Connect, because you said this thing about memory and material, and when I was looking at Mukund and Riaz, I was thinking that in a way, it's a story about partition. I mean, for those of you, I think almost most people who are here might have seen it, but those who haven't, it's a story based on her father's, like she says, a real story told by her father to her that she sort of recreates with material. And I was thinking that, and the material is printed, it's not a flat, or it's not like she's trying to recreate the real world only in the tones and textures. It does something else. And I was thinking that in a way, by using material, it feels a bit like you're working with the medium, like it becomes a listener's tale. Like actually you're listening to someone's story and then telling the story. Yeah, so you're not trying to say that I've got it and trying to create it in perhaps in live action or something, which seems to suggest ki dekho ye hua tha, here I'm showing it to you. But instead, like as a viewer also, I have to go through all these layers of printed cloth which set off my own associations, and I come a little tangentially to something which is heartbreaking. And I just think that at this point you must have shifted from, I saw that you've done early drawings, and I saw that your diploma worked with A.G. Subramaniam's that crow wala drawing, and I was thinking so why did you decide to use cloth, and what was it, what did it feel like when you started working with cloth in this film? What changed? I mean, it's like having a new actor. Your actor became kapda. So then what did this new actor bring to your practice?
So when I did, thought I would actually, my father, when he was almost close to 70, he died when he was 72. So, he one day just happened to tell me that, everybody talks about leaving, property behind. I left my best friend behind. So I said, oh, you never talked about your best friend. So we started, conversation. And then I felt that there was something he wanted to share, but it wasn't something that was emerging as a package, as a processed thought or a processed anything. So anyway, I was curious because I suddenly realized that here's my father. I've known him all my life and I don't know anything about him, and I knew that he wasn't well and he wasn't going to live very long. I didn't know how long he was going to live, but I knew that he didn't have much time, and this was a way of spending time, with him. Instead of talking about his illness, we would talk about his past, and that was really therapeutic for him to be speaking about the times when he could run around and do stuff, and I just wrote it down as something to share with my siblings, and I shared it with some friends, and they said, I think there's a movie in here. And I said, oh no, who would be interested in my father's story, And then I had gone on a trip to Kutch, and there I saw, in Kala Raksha, I saw these women had made these tapestries on the earthquake, and that sort of triggered a whole visual language. And I thought, you know what, my father said, you can't make me into a cartoon character. वो मुझे मत बनाना, and don't ask me to speak. You can make this film if you want. So then I thought, you know, he worked as a printing master, you know, in the textile mills for so many years, and we grew up with cloth around us, you know, all the time. I would see fabric, and he loved fabric. So I thought, and coming from Sindh, which was a land of, you know, where people did embroidery and applique work, I thought that would be a very interesting way to tell his story. And when I suggested that to him, he was fine with it. He said, yeah, okay. And then luckily I found people, you know, who could do the kind of, you know, based on my sketches, they could actually create the, you know, like, so like this is, you know, so you make the sketch, and then, you know, there are people who can actually very beautifully craft it. And as I mean, now it didn't strike me then, Hansa, but I think the choice of cloth is also because cloth is like memory, you know, it fades, it wears off, it tears, you know, and yet it is something that you can fold it away and put it away, and, you know, it is there for you to retrieve. And therefore this engagement with cloth for me became a very evocative or personal, you know, it's tactile, it kind of gives you that emotion. And I felt it spoke for my father, who's a very gentle, very soft person.
I remember you saying you had also used his old shirts or something like that as part of it. Am I right?
Yeah, his shirts, swatches he had collected over the years. And then, you know, the shopkeeper in Ahmedabad, you know, in Rani no Hajiro, who was a old Muslim man who loved the story, and, you know, he said, you take what you want from my store, you know, whatever. I said, I don't want anything very new, you know. And so there were very interesting moments when, you know, to find a fabric for the sky, you know, when the ship is leaving. I found actually one bundle that he, you know, was lying on top. It was actually holding, it was a dusty, dirty, faded kapda, which I said, ye mujhe chahiye. And he was like, tum pagal hai, itna mere paas, I'm doing research in textiles, I'm creating this fabulous thing, tumko yehi pasand aaya? मैंने बोला ये एकदम सही because it is, you know, it was a faded thing. I mean, we're dealing with memory is never the actual, it's how you want to remember something, you know. And I think cloth lent that, you know, it gave it that sort of and also that liminal space of memory, you know, it's liminal, it's not in the here and animation loves for that liminality, you know.
And I think that is what I was thinking, that it's partition, and, you know, we approach it as though we can just grab it and tell it. I mean, you know, as listeners, we are really people who we don't really know. So that quality is in the film, and that sort of leaves you with an experience or something, and not with an sort of aggressive attitude, or I don't know how to exactly put it. But it also occurred to me that it reminded me, I was doing a documentary project with a friend in Kashmir many years ago, and sometimes I would see things which I wouldn't know what to say about them, but they stayed with me. So like I think I was telling you, there was a village somewhere, and it was like as bad as you can imagine, and worse, and so much loss, basically so much loss of that. People wouldn't talk about loss because everyone had lost so much. But you know, behind the door, when I opened, like she just opened the door of the room, and there were these very shallow shelves, and there were these little plastic tubs of flowers. The same kind of plastic tub with flowers was covering the entire shallow shelf. The shelf was so, but the diwar mein, it was so narrow that you could just put chota something, you know. She had covered it, and she said, I make these. And I mean, and you know, everything else that she had been talking about, somehow had expression in this, but I didn't know how to make that. She was talking about loss, and because that's what we were asking her, and I was just talking about whatever, being ill, having loss, and the same in that camp in Kathua. I was telling you about this old man who was a refugee and very bitter, also because we were prodding his bitterness in a way, how to say, because he had a notebook. I mean. And in that notebook, with that ballpoint pen with which we have 4 colors, he would keep drawing Firan ke motifs. So page after page with those 4 or 5 colors of ballpoint was very intricately done. And I think that it's like an image of loss, I was thinking, right? That we image loss through beauty, but actually, so it's actually a way of talking about loss. And perhaps sometimes as filmmakers, instead of working with beauty to talk about people's loss, we imagine that we must present, for it to be effective or something, we must present it in some very, as though beauty is not searing, but in fact, beauty is very searing.
Yeah.
Is that a frame from the film behind you, Neil?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the bakery.
Can you show it to us? That's really beautiful.
Okay, I'll show you.
And that also, that the bakery, that they go to the bakery, I remember that in the film, and these kapde ka biscuits, which immediately give you the smell of those Karachi bakery biscuit kind of, and you think, acha, ye wale kaise rahe honge? Yeah.
I have actually this, that is a copy. This is the original, which is used in the film.
Oh, wow.
So these are the biscuits. Shelf after shelf, yeah. And how did your father respond to the film?
It was very interesting. He had 2 comments. One was a very emotional one. So, when the ship is moving away, he waved at it. He's sitting there in front of the screen and he waved at it. I tell you, I cried so much when I saw him do that. It was like literally he was saying goodbye to his own child self, and whatever, he waved. And then that was one reaction. And afterwards, I asked him, what did you think of the film? So I said, I'm going to interview you. You have to tell me what you thought about the film. So typical of his age group, and his the way they used to speak, the film tells very nice. It represents my life. Everything is very good, but there is one thing which I think you have got it wrong. And I froze. I said, "Ye film to ban gayi hai, abhi kya? What can I do about it?" So I said, so tell me, what did I get it wrong? You don't know anything about cricket. That's not how you hold a bat. वो ऐसा पकड़ेगा तो clean bold हो जाएगा, He was such an avid cricket fan that he watched the film very closely. So he said, you don't know everything else. He didn't care if it moved, it didn't move in the real way, all those things that happened, that didn't bother him. But what bothered him, the way Mukund was batting, that was him, him batting like that was no good.
Misrepresentation and all that.
Completely understandable, actually. Yeah.
I love it when you get totally googlied like this, on something that you're not expecting, and you've got your heart in your mouth, when somebody on whom it's based or who you're representing and who you're, so much emotion is also invested, when one makes films, all of ours, so then this fear of, oh my God, what have I done?
Like you say something, and
yeah. And so you work yourself with the material. I mean, in a sense, sometimes, not always. Some of your films have also talked about people who work with them. But as somebody who also works with it themselves, what is your relationship with that? And where does film, because you go almost from a tactile medium to a non-tactile medium, right? Often after I've made a whole film, I'm like, I need to do something that makes my fingers feel they're touching real things. But you're working with that and moving to a non-tactile medium. So how do you sort of see some of that?
Yeah. I think I have a friend who says that because I used to do so badly in embroidery class in my childhood, I'm just taking revenge all my life for that now. कि तुमने मुझे zero कितने fail क्यों किया बार-बार? So, and in that sense, I don't think that I mean, I was fairly clumsy and I would get fed up because you would have to do it neatly and you'd have to, and that's how I remember. Sometimes I'd start off well and then I'd get exhausted. And you know, so my work used to be आधा अच्छा और मतलब आधा एक चौथाई अच्छा और तीन चौथाई used to be like gadad, badad, badad, gadad. And you know, it used to be, and I have an aunt who used to say that her needlework days were very, she used to always feel her bag used to feel heavier on that day in the morning. Not because the cloth was heavy, but bhar lagta tha. So, you know, this idea that you should be good at needlework. So it was all a very confusing but I'm trying to think why I started doing it again. I did it when I was younger too. Sometimes, you know, you'd have these books for girls kind of a thing. Make things for your doll or do this or do that. And sometimes I used to pick up things which were a little fun. Like the idea of making a dress was actually, I think that was one of the things that I did perhaps. But, and then patchwork, I remember doing randomly sometime in college and I don't know why I did it. I used to write stories, I think. And for some reason, I tried to do it through cloth. Again, it was incomplete, and then it got left behind, like my writing and many other things. So writing is also something you do by hand, actually. I mean, maybe not now, but we did it by hand, right? And even now. So, but I think, like I was saying, that one of the reasons that I enjoyed the Phalke project so much was these things also started returning to me. I mean, in that sense, I learned a lot because it was a learning kind of an experience for me. I traveled to these places that I knew little of, like in filmmaking, because we were not given access really, or talked, other arts sadly were not really talked about. But I think someone gifted me a DVD. I mean, there was this wonderful artist, writer, Leela Mayer, who was in, she was in Baroda, in fact. Baroda was like some magic place, clearly, during this project. And she sent me a DVD of this filmmaker called Jan Schwankmajer, this Czech filmmaker, Alice in Wonderland. And I had no clue why she sent it to me. I mean, she was sending something to Kamal. There was some, you know, they were talking about Katha Sarit Sagar and all. Side mein mere ko ek DVD she sent me. And I saw the DVD, in fact, quite much a little later. And when I saw it, my God, I felt like something shook inside me, like my hand. I felt a bit like, I want this. I don't even know what it meant. But the thing is that for once, when I saw it, like a group of us saw it, which is, I think, the best way to see a film still, like even that, when I saw it on my own, I don't think it made as much impact. But I saw it and I felt that, oh, he's put the whole of Alice in Wonderland the way it's meant to be, which is inside one house. It's a child's mind inside one house. So the whole world is, and suddenly I can feel it. And I can touch it almost. And then, of course, I started finding out, and I'm glad she sent me Alice, because I think I would have been quite resistant to all his other films at that point. I don't think I would have gotten it, you know, but Alice was that enough. It was just that enough amount of the surreal or the strange, which we already knew from our childhoods. It wasn't the unfamiliar. This was, yeah, we knew this much was, you know, a caterpillar, suddenly a sock, you know. So it was a lot like play, and it was almost like a romp on play, like, what all can you throw? So it was messy also. So the feeling that there can be craft and it can be messy and it can be exhilarating was, I think, trippy in a way for me. I don't know why. So it sort of kind of validated that chalo ye bhi try kar sakte hain, kind of a thing. And yeah, so I think that's how the idea and the idea that therefore the film image can become tactile.
Yeah.
you know, which I really perhaps I didn't understand it like that when I saw him, but you felt almost like. And then of course I started reading more about him because the internet had also sort of dawned upon our worlds by then, and you could sort of randomly, I found all sorts of strange things on the net, also because I was putting up stuff for the Wikipedia on Falke, and I found found out about Eva Schwenkmeyer, his collaborator, and they were a couple, and she was a surrealist artist, and she designed all those creatures inside. And I thought, okay, that's my hero, you know, like there she is, hero, that's my hero. And I must say that I think the idea of a woman doing things certainly facilitated me into certain directions, you know, because you were taking that boundary further and further. Yes, I know needlework, and I admired the needlework of my classmates and all, which I couldn't do at all. I mean, there were girls who could do chicken ki sadiyan. I mean, it was so beautiful, you know. Here I was struggling with, you know, kuch nahi hota, that type of a thing. But here, this was, so that also helped me, I think, go into these messier directions. Yeah.
Hansa, I think it's excellent you talk about Schwenkmeyer, because I was wondering, you know, when I saw that song about your parents.
Yeah.
And it actually, I was wondering, what is it reminding me of, you know? In this kind of seamless world, you know, of which Schwenkmeyer creates, and, you know, and you have, in fact, I wondered, you know, and I have this question for you. That do you, I mean, identify yourself with the other, you know, I mean, so this is the other, but who is, you know, she comes very now and then, you know, yeah, the doll. So she's there in the garden, you know, with real plants. And then you do that a lot. I mean, you know, you have the street, and you have this cutout car going, and you have the big girl sitting in the corner. And then you have, even when the mother is singing, and, you know, you are at the back, you know, drawing something. It's like you're there and you're not there, you know. And it's very interesting that you know, your parents speak of you, but you are always there as not even as a voice, but as this doll, maybe, you know. So was that some sort of a thing, like you saw yourself as, you know,
not really, actually.
Present, you know, that kind of absence presence, that was very fascinating.
Yeah, because I think for me, the doll, I think what Schwenkmeyer had, in a way, it's like it got back was the idea of play. And when you play, you no longer know whether you are or you aren't. Means, are you what you're playing with? Are you not? Maybe sometimes you are, sometimes you're not. And that both are okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, so you can be, like, I remember a little kid once playing with me, and, you know, she was on my feet, you know, I was lifting, like I was sitting like this and she was on my feet, and I was lifting her like this, and we were playing that she's on a ship, and she was going along with me. I was getting carried away by my own ki wah maine kya soch liya hai, you know, like we are on a ship, and she was like, oh, I can see the sea, oh, I can, and I was also like, oh, can you see the waves and something, and then suddenly she just got down from my feet and said, it's ground. So,
what did she say?
It's ground. It's not kaun sa samundar, kaun sa ship, you know, it's ground. So, like, you can take it for as long, and then you can suddenly, so I think what I was getting interested in a way, was just, and I think that's what also material gave me, that if you keep playing, it gives you more freedom to, you don't have to fix a position. Like this little girl, how did she change? So in that sense, I think, yes, I suppose in some ways I am watching in that song, you know.
But somehow it's not limited just to that. There's a sort of uncertainty. You're not completely able to peg this as, oh, this is the stand-in for Hansa at all, because there are points where you feel it, and then there are points where you distance it somehow.
So yeah, because I don't even know myself, but it suddenly becomes, I think the thing is to, I've been looking for things which allow you to do things. Like, so I'd see my friend Paromita, and in her film there'd be fictional bits, you know. So what is it that you allow yourself to do? At least to my mind, I see myself as a slightly tentative character, first checking ki log kya kar pa rahe hain, and then, okay, I'm also going to try to do this also, you know. So I think Kamal's scrapbook, I thought, like, here we were, oh, Om Darvadar, you know, it was really a big thing for me, certainly when I saw it. It also came from North India, and the fact that you could twist and turn the material of your world like that. But when I saw the scrapbook, because it was genuinely made of such simple material, and in some ways it had a fairly simple, like the road to surrealism was a simpler one than I imagined. It wasn't key, but it was based on research, and it was allowing yourself to put things together, or Paro allowing herself to, you know, or my friend Bela, who sort of looks at fairy tales. So I think this dolls, and I mean, I'm not a single child, but my siblings are much younger. So I think I had quite a relationship with dolls when I was a kid. So I think it was like allowing yourself, pehle aane to do, fir dekhenge, you know, what does it mean? Will hopefully, but it's a thought. I never thought of myself, actually. I'm going to think about it now, Nina.
No, I love the seamlessness, you know, between the real world and, you know, the world that you create.
And in a way, that's something. Yeah, in a way, that's something you talked about also, about when you started working with the Kutchi artists. And I think my friend Beda once said it to me about her mother, that the world of mythology as children it was there. It wasn't. It almost like how I would talk about my dolls, right? Like that there was a world that you inhabit. So that's actually to think of Tanka Bole Che, which is like your. So I could see that the transition from Mukund and Riaz to Tanka Bole Che, in some ways I could completely understand it. Also, now that you mentioned that you saw their stitches, because that stitch has really triggered me also when I saw it for the first time, when I saw that work, because it's a very free kind of a line. It's a rounded chain stitch, and it just goes, like, you know, you can't even quite contain it in the domesticated products with which we use it, however. And then of course there are so I was wondering, that you shifted to doing that film, Tanka Bole Che, and in a way, from telling your father's story. Oh, this is that stitch, is it? Yes.
Yeah, you're talking about
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
I learned it one day that because the needle goes this way, whereas in school the chain stitch we were taught this way, but here the needle goes this way. Yeah, and then you just keep taking the line. Yeah, and you shifted. I mean, this is also a partition story, and it's a
migration story.
And migration story, and it's and the fact that they were displaced, and that the reason that they are in Kutch is because, in a way, you know, here are people, that gesture which are baith jate hain, the whole bunch of them, and you know, yeah, the only guys who have faces are the policemen and Jodie. I mean, in the way that we recognize, the others are almost like with the material. The faces are with the material, and I think so. I had two questions. I think one is that this change of you were looking at material which was not so close home. You were looking at people, at a community, and also that I think what the arts have been in our subcontinent. Like, as soon as you step out, like I was saying the other day, we learn in art institutions, and we step out and we encounter a community, and in communities which is where art is practiced traditionally in India, and it's also very caste and class conscribed. It's you're not so you're given just that in a way as a resource. Yeah, and you're not allowed to sort of move around too much outside that tight boundary. So within that, they have, of course, most of the time, it's like explosions almost of what has happened with that small resource. And we, as sort of novice artists, you know, two, 3 generations old, the idea of the individual artist in this subcontinent, we encounter this. And then there are all the differences of class, privilege, caste, so many things. But I wanted to ask you, what did it feel like to shift the scape from Mukund and Riaz to Tanka Bole Che, and the material, and that wonderful way in which you've picked up the relief of that chain stitch and animated. with it. So what did it feel like to go into this new, because this was also like field work?
Yeah, it was. Well, it's a bit of both, you know. I was actually invited by Judy and Kala Raksha to make a film because they had made these you know narrative panels which is not a traditional thing. I mean, the traditional is the embroidery, but the telling of narratives and telling it in this form was not something that happened post the earthquake, and it was done more as a way of reconciliation and coming to terms with the changes in their lives due to the earthquake and all of that. So they had done, but it was very interesting that while they did that, so she wanted me to animate those things they had made. But what I found very fascinating was the way I asked them, why do you want to animate this? Like, you already have made these stories. So they said that people we know, I mean, people have also made documentaries of us. We have spoken about our work, but the thing is that they don't know how to read our work. They and I'm not there to explain. So I would like people to understand what I actually created. So we began and I thought that for me it worked in two ways. One was, of course, that it was a retelling of their stories in a different format, telling it in animation. But I also began to see as the potential of animation to represent these ethnographies, to be an empowering agent rather than that cinema is not something that makes people vulnerable with the camera being trained on them, but more as a sense of empowering, because it's their stitches that are speaking for them. And so that is how it kind of began. I had no idea. Actually, we just had lots and lots of conversations, and I would ask them, can you explain what you did here? And I realized one thing, that the way we see something and we assume, it's not necessary that is what it is. So, like, for example, like, say this is a white thing around, and we think it's the border, or whatever, it's a background or something. So I asked her to walk me through her panel. So there was a white border around, and the first thing she said, this is the wall of Kala Raksha. And I was like, oh my god, I have a lot I cannot take anything for granted, and in the way the characters were placed, some were upside down, some were sideways. It was literally like being inside rather than being outside looking at it, but being inside the picture and walking everywhere, with the characters. So I had to, I it was a challenging thing, to how to tell this in the way they are telling it, and make it, their story. So after all the conversations that we had, and they wanted to tell so many things. आप हमारे बारे में ये भी बताना, ये भी बताना, ये भी बोलना है. So that's why I use the structure of conversation between four people, because a conversation can go anywhere. You can shift gears. People never let you finish a sentence. Then it's only when you are giving a lecture that you can actually say your whole sentence. So it was interesting to use that structure. And I think at every stage we were having a lot of conversations about what they said, and this is what I was going to do, and we did some tests, and so I would, like, you saw that bullock cart moving, so when I showed it to some people in my students here or my faculty, they looked at it and they said, ye kya hai, ye butterfly hai, because they are used to seeing things move in these coordinates. Those ladies saw it and they said barobar chhe. Like, that's fine. So it was the shift was in one sense not such a big shift also, but it was also very interesting to see that while doing this work together, like making this film together, they were also while showing me the work, they were telling me there were all kinds of memories, coming up. Like one memory was of the making. So they would talk about, I took this, I took that, I thought of this, because they wanted to be represented as artists, not as some craftspeople. So that was something that they spoke about. But they also remembered that moment in time, which they did not represent in the embroidery, but it was something it helped them remember, ye to main bhul gayi thi, us din ye bhi hua tha. So it becomes a prompt of sorts. So I began to see it as a way of doing research. So the film then is something, a product, but it is also a kind of a process by which one is learning about people.
I think that feeling of process in this film is very much there. And also, that thing that you're saying about कि people are not familiar, उनको समझ नहीं आता है हमारा काम. It's like the opening of Little Prince, that novel, where there's that shape, and the child says it's like it's a boa constrictor that's eaten, and everyone thinks it's a hat. Everyone thinks it's a hat. So actually, so, and I think that sense you get in your work even afterwards, that desire to open out what you see in though I think Tanka Boleche from the three is my favorite, because I feel like also that the way that you picked up that thread and the material of it, and how it lifts and how that bullock, like you're saying, goes and crosses and you enter the frame. It's just very, very but in the covered film also we begin it reminds me like how A.K. Ramanujan's 300 Ramayans, that we don't know, so one part of your film seems to be propelled as a viewer to giving me some more exposure, like to the audiences which watch films, to some more exposure to what all languages have been developed of telling, of and perhaps where people are able to insert themselves. Like again, I said, like in this it's very difficult to in where you have this as your resource. What all have you done with that resource? I remember seeing a puppet show once in Pondicherry, outside that Veena Pani Chawla's. There was a kind of something, and the puppet show just blew my head, because there were stories about across generations, the enmity of Brahmin and another character, right? And वो हर generation में लड़ाई करते हैं. I mean, and the kind of things that they were able to say, and the kind of was much more sort of electric than things that I have read say about. So the fact that actually also people have also developed their language, and we are not trying to go close to those languages too. And I wanted to link this with the fact that often at film festivals I sometimes see some animation and I feel, oh gosh, that's really beautiful, and it seems to be, and I see your name on the because they often to do with diverse craft practices and an understanding of them. And you talk about Nasreen Mohammadi, and I think KG Subramaniam's been, I mean, you've been taught by some, I presume, fantastic teachers apart from artists, and you've chosen to teach for so many years. So do you think that there's something that you carry from what you got from your teachers to this? Is there something that you particularly feel that you have brought to your teaching?
I've learned a lot from my teachers. I've learned a lot from my students as well. I would say I'm a learner. So I don't know. I mean, there are things one learns from one's teachers, and it becomes a part of your being. Right. So I couldn't really tell you what I bring to my teaching, quite honestly.
I mean, some things you mentioned also, like things that shifted in your mind because somebody said, and I presume now you might be playing that role in someone else's life. Yeah. So
that's for them to say.
I know.
I wouldn't know.
At which point I'm going to give Nina an out from this thing, because she does not know how to deal with. Also there's a very interesting question from Rajula which has come in about the use of sound in animation. and it becomes very, very significant. And she would love to hear you talk about it a bit. You know, several people have written in the chat when you all later have the time to, you know, about how they're enjoying it. But of course, there are other meetings and yevo. So that's going on. But if you could both talk about actually two things I want to ask you also about how do you, I mean, one is Rajula's question about sound and how do you actually imagine it? Because now if you're in the zone of the unreal, where do you start imagining that sound work from? I presume is sort of the direction of her question. And also about how do you use medium, especially like Nina, when you're working with a community, how do you still navigate what you want to say and how you say it? And actually, even you, when you're that doll is not a fixed character, Hansa. It's not like, okay, this doll only means this, or there are multiple of them. Then how do you navigate what you want to say and at what point does it feel real or unreal? So sort of two very different questions, but things I want to throw to both of you.
So in the sound, because the material is unfamiliar, so to speak, you know, it's not mimetic, it's not trying to be real. I like using real sounds to give it weight, to give it, you know, credibility, and to make it more identifiable. So actually I use that. In fact, I try not to, I mean, I like using found music, found sounds. Everything found, I love. I like the, you know, what the challenges it throws at me as to what can I do with what I have got. So for instance, when Rani Ben, we were, you know, talking to her at the back, there was some clanking and clinking. So we actually then animated something in the picture that something drops, so you can, you know, it makes up for that sound, rather than it seems like where's that sound coming from, you know. And I think these ambient sounds, you know, when you're talking to somebody and the ambient sound behind them, they give you the gravity, you know, of the feeling of place. Yeah. Whereas all my characters are existing in space, we do not really try to create an environment or sky and earth. Everything is against a flat background, so they are floating in that sense, you know. So because they occupy space, I mean, I have this thing with place space dynamics, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel the sound gives it that grounding of being real, and the visuals let you, you know, remain in space and to occupy whatever realities you want, you know.
Hansa, you want to win?
And yeah, what you were saying about that one, between the real and the unreal, that character whom I don't fix a meaning, I think that that is my space of exploration, of understanding what that work is about, actually. So I was thinking, because I had done one small piece with a young theater person where I was like one sidekick character, and she'd asked us to put a line across our faces, which is on the poster, Malika Taneja, and I was she herself was asking herself, why, what does it mean, what am I? So in fact, when Nina said that it's like a veil that's covering, I messaged her, I said, well, here is one, you know. But I think that that's when I thought that, okay, this is like a variable, like we create a variable in our work,
yeah,
you know, which allows us to shift meanings inside the work, and then slowly we begin to understand maybe this work suggests this or this, but I think it's something like that वो exactly पता नहीं है, वो पता करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, तो उसके इर्द गिर्द maybe, you know, maybe I'm trying to crack, I don't know, maybe, yeah, a doll, who is she, is like part of the, I'm only trying to find out.
Yeah, and so are you then having conversations with, you know, then what is this doll do? Is that more intuitive? I mean, do you reach a point?
It's more intuitive. It is intuitive. And that's what I mean when I said that I was looking for ways to free myself, to be less inhibited about creating a work. Otherwise, it's like so many layers that you can feel inhibited by, whether it's meaning, whether it's, you know, the social context, whether it's, so, yeah. So I think therefore the embroidery line or the doll is like, yeah, and the idea of play, that, okay, go with it, you know, at most you'll fall flat on your face, which is also an experience of childhood. You'll get up hopefully and get on with it. Yeah.
So Nina, how do you navigate, because now actually you're a storyteller, they are storytellers, right, when you're working with the community? how do you navigate that thing of the story that you may want to tell, which may not be exactly the way they want to tell it, or what is, I mean, how are you guys, I mean, what is that dynamic? Just talk to us even about the questions. They don't, it doesn't have to be, and I'm sure it's not a fixed answer because situations vary, stories vary.
Actually, so taking the example of Baat Wahi Hai, for me that would be a way, like the film itself is a conversation, of me being the researcher, asking questions. But isn't it the same thing? You guys are saying the same thing, and so I put myself in the picture, as the voice of the researcher who's constantly saying, but you're saying the same thing. Then they say, no, it's not the same. And then I also gave the voice to the box, so that Kundana Bai is also there as a lady, who's asking. She herself is not aware of her abilities, so in a way, the film becomes a dialogue, so the way I would put myself in is the way my job is that of a putter together, I'm putting things together. So that what my role is, how do I tell it together with them, what is it that each is trying to tell, and then how do I make sure that everything is told in all its plurality and in all its dimensions, and yet not tell everything, and also work with the audience, because the audience is an intelligent audience, can read, can understand, can make meaning. So how do we work with people's memories? We work with our material, we work with the storytellers, we work with the artists, the cover artist who made. He would sometimes say, ये क्या है? मैंने बोला ये रंग नहीं करना था, ये रंग करने का था. So he says, आप करते हो ना, Photoshop में बदल दो उसका रंग. So it is a fabulous way of working. So it in a way, it's not like I'm trying to be invisible. I am in charge of the whole film, but what I'm enjoying is this dialogue between all of them, and how my challenge is, how am I going to put it all together. So that is where my role I think kicks in, and where if I want to highlight something, for example, I wanted to tell that that the whole cover, the story of Kundana Bai is actually the story of storytelling. It's that the story is constantly changing. It's the same story, but it's not the same story. In that sense. So that's where I interject myself, but not at the end. Maybe little bit.
So maybe that's also how you look at like me being perhaps the doll, because this I can understand. I think even from that little film excerpt, that my student film, which is really, usme bhi I remember trying to insert myself, and so there is this, and then there is the girl who comes from the other city, kind of a thing. So though someone looked at the film and says, oh, this is exactly like the main character, and all the time I thought I was that one. So that we might think we are this one, but by the time the story gets told, you might be somebody else.
That is true. But actually, it seems an apt point to ask you and us. Hansa, there's a question for you. You're okay with just floating into questions now, right? So there's a question from Mehdi Jahan, who's also a filmmaker in Assam. A lot of his work is on disappearing Sufi traditions of storytelling. He asks you, actually, it's about while working on the Palke project, which is seemingly impersonal. Did you feel events from Palke's life segues in seamlessly or generates a dialogue with your own memories, which in turn gives the project an autobiographical quality? Because he says that Kamal does that. So, did you also experience that? And he'd like you to talk a bit.
Yes. I mean, actually, I think I wrote my grandfather into the project. That's what I feel. That how else could I access? But I mean, I wrote only some sections, small sections, which were about And I think for me, it was an understanding, my first diploma work was really on my experience. I would say it was the nichod of my experiences till then, of my understanding of the world that I had seen perhaps and participated in some way and felt ABC about. So uske baad I was like, khali, abhi kya? Like, am I going to live like the next 20 years to experience? And I suppose I partly did that. But I think what the Falke project gave was, there was a solid layer of research that you had to do on, which was whether on Falke's life, on the changing technologies and so on. But what I was writing was literally very small narratives about Falke with this child, Falke. So where would I draw from? So of course I would draw from my observations, my life, and honestly, and I do feel my grandfather passed away somewhere along the time that I was, and I do feel that things that I heard about him and the ways I experienced him, I tried to write that in slowly. So also because it was not in that sense a product, the project. It was not like, oh yeah. So I think the thing that I was talking about Baroda also is that the idea that there is also something called like practice and, which as filmmakers, we often have no sense of. So I think that project gave that you, and in the process to keep learning about how a story sort of connects the personal and seemingly impersonal and perhaps impersonal, genuinely so, together all the time. And so if you keep working, it's like stitching, it's like something, you keep working and you keep letting shapes happen, and then you forget that why you let it happen. That's why sometimes I can't recognize something. I mean, this line, I'm sure it's a Kalaso, but apart from that, sometimes I can't recognize. Sometimes I can't recognize that. And that's a nice feeling that, it's not about you were there with a bunch of people, you were also doing your thing. There are your memories, there are those people's memories, there are many things. And from that, these stories were getting, it was a relief to think that the world is larger than this thing of like, okay, now I've got to make this some film which has to be very meaningful.
Meena, can I ask you as maybe towards closing, sort of to talk also what this means by, I think sort of open up this thing called visual ethnography, I think, and what it means in particular to the kind of communities you work for. There's a lot of talk these days about community knowledge and oral history and, stuff like that. But in many ways, why you find this a sort of device or a rich entry point, rather, not a device really, and what does it allow? Because we're all also, even when we're filmmaking, and we talked about this, I think, in some of our earlier conversations as a lead up to today about what is participatory. Is it giving community members a camera? Is it, what is that thing that to tell their own stories? There are many ways. But I think some of the sort of subtext or what goes into the stories you're telling may not be so apparent. I think it might be interesting for us to hear a little bit about, what you feel you're actually documenting, and why does that conversation between artists of different communities, classes, castes, actually, how does it open that up?
So we talk a lot about, collaboration, for example. We talk about voice, and listening to multiple voices, and that we don't hear enough voices, there's not enough representation. You look at the marginalized, we are all marginalized in some sense, and we are all outsiders in a lot of ways, but we are sort of also privileged, and and then I find that there are stories that are, it all happened because doing my research, doing Taco Boleche and, getting a sense of how many stories there are and how many ways of looking at reality exist, and then doing the research with the coward makers and the coward storytellers. It gave me an insight into, that not everything can be learned, and not everybody who's formally educated is in a better position to tell stories or or speak about something. And I felt that the way to reach, the way we could connect was in this collaborative space that which allowed each of us to treat the other as an equal, you know, because we are both creative people, and we are entering this space, you know, together and trying to tell something. I'm using my skills as a filmmaker, as somebody who can put things together, and they are their skills of, you know, creating, making, and telling stories are coming together, and we are being transformed by each other in a way, you know, and this kind of very rich experience of life, you know, that we I mean, you know, my storytellers told me that, you know, some parts of the months of the year they are telling stories, and other parts they're working in fields, and in summer they're making roads, you know, they work as manual labor. I cannot walk across, I cannot go down a road where I see people, construction workers, without wondering, one of them is a storyteller, you know, one of them has a mind of stories to tell. And these stories are so different. They are not, you know, they're not stuck in causality in the way we learn about, you know, in filmmaking we learn about causality. We you know, we are given these tropes of, you know, beginning, middle, end, and, you know, maybe not in that order like Godard says, but still, you know, there is there is a filmmaking, whatever language, and, you know, for them that language is very different, you know, they have a language but it's a very different language. So I think the only way we can really learn about each other, and you know, because fear makes you distrust, and I think the more you you know, connect, that understanding, and that you can stop being, you know, the other to each other, you know, in the sense. So I feel this collaborative space offers that kind of thing, and I identify with that, being marginalized, not marginalized, by being on the margins, like, which is a choice I make. Theirs is not a choice, mine is a choice. But that is something that we do, you know, relate to, and I enjoy it when we can crack a joke without them thinking they can, you know, now talk to me any which way. There is still a wall, you know, there's still something that, you know, I am this person from another space. But we had very interesting arguments. For example, like I said to him, you know, to the storyteller, sometimes you say you're from this village, sometimes you say I'm from here, and sometimes you say, तो आप ऐसा कैसे, I mean, इधर उधर से कैसे? तो बोले, आप भी तो बोले कि मैं अहमदाबाद से हूँ, लेकिन मैं बड़ौदा में थी, अभी मैं बम्बई में हूँ. तो फिर I said, yeah, but that is also true, you know. So it's a very interesting, I mean, apart from the film that you make, but that film allows for these conversations to happen. And then he took me around Rajasthan. I was thinking, I know Rajasthan as Jaipur, Bikaner, Jodhpur, Jaisalmer, and finished, you know. I mean, these are the 5-6, Udaipur, I know. For him, just that Badmer district, there are this village, that village, that village, idhar jayenge, idhar jayenge. He knows his space in minute detail, which I don't know. And therefore his understanding, like, you know, the same guy, when he tells the story of Shravan, he gives so much information, you know. He says aambe ke ped pe lagaya, you know. It gives my animator mind, like, oh, I have to make aamba ka ped over there, you know, because he's talking about it. So it's a very rich, I wish somebody would just give him some funds to sit down and write all the stories he knows. Otherwise, you know, right now he's made up a story on Corona Mata. He told me the story on the phone, you know, मैंने बनाया है एक नया कहानी. So like these become your community, they become like your relatives, you know, for life.
Yeah.
They become a part of your life, yeah.
You know, also I think that this, sorry, Hansa, you want to respond?
Yeah, I'm saying that a friend actually said about your work, which I thought quite nicely said. He said that it's like each person brings their labor into that place. And he said that's very rare in looking, I mean, in ethnography or something, that you don't, yeah. So it's like you bring your craft and your labor. So that does change kind of, and a little bit in the Surabhi theatre, though I've just done a little bit of, again, because of early cinema, and we did a project together, a younger director and me, Yeah, and I think that it's difficult, and all those other things exist. Those walls, like she said, won't break down. But one is that again, that recognition of form, and for me also that understanding that across different kinds of making, there is some language which is connected.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not that that you know that there is because it's the creation of form which is perhaps that language, like to know that you're working with form, like, or you're making forms to be able to express them.
In fact,
It actually pushes you to think about the medium itself. You know, what can you do with animation?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is my so and actually linked Hansa with what you were saying is actually where I was going, with the thing that when you approach and I make very different kinds of films, right? So, and I make very few also, but when you approach it with keep that element of the unknown is a part of what you're exploring. And Hansa, you particularly explore interiorities. There are ways in which you also, those characters, the doll makers in your film, The Outside In, the way they talk about their dolls is something that they're also responding to something about you and the way you are responding, the way you respond to them. It's also you're able to bring that out and bring that kind of subject to us in a way that otherwise, you could just think, oh my God, these are adult women making dolls and writing poetry to them. They're completely nuts, and it could just stop there. Yeah. But the fact that you're existing and you're exploring this sort of liminal space between, edge of reality kind of space, and not worrying about it, then allows, somehow I feel you open that conversation with people who are exploring that. So it's not just, that you are exploring it as an absolute thing, but because you're playing, it's not completely non-documentary, it's not completely fiction, there's something else.
I must say that, because when it is PSBT, so one of my, those, you have those people who, three jury.
Reviewers.
So one of them wrote actually, like, about their loneliness or something. And I got into a rage. Like, how come you're not exploring? I was like, yeah, everyone is lonely. Means you could be making a doll or you could be making a dam. Tell me that the person who's making a dam is not lonely. That aisa to nahi hai na.
Right.
So that is not like, what is the logic of that? And I mean, it's nice to, So I think that hadn't occurred to me actually. Because which was a good thing to feel.
And often that's what, even I've, it's on repeat viewings that I realize what you're opening up. Because we all struggle with how do you open up, how do you engage with people, what is that power relationship? We know that there's a difference, but how do you cross over, to what extent? And in some cases, you can't find a connect. There is no organic connect between your life experience and theirs. I always tell the story of this one child who was in our film Padhoge Likhoge Hoge Nawab. He was a child whose mother was in bonded labor. Okay. And so this NGO had sort of come to rescue him and bring him to the school, etc., because he had also been part of that. And he said, you rescue me, you have to first rescue my mother. It doesn't help for you to rescue me. So he was like 12 years old or something, and in class 3 or something like that. And, in this, we were trying to get children's perspectives on schooling, so power, interactions, friends, exclusions, inclusions, lots of things. And of course, as part of that, and maybe, we were also young people then, but, you ask that question of, acha, bade hoke kya banna chahte ho type of question. And, kids in Delhi would say, oh, I want to be a marine engineer, I want to be a cricketer, or India ke liye khelunga, and all these really cutesy things. And this kid, and we were also having there was also a language issue, because I can sort of understand Telugu, but not fully. So we had someone interpreting. So it's, some questions we would come round and round to. So when you asked him what he wanted to become, kabhi he'd say ki main na teacher banne wala. Then he'll say main paan ki dukaan khulne wala. Then he'll say main kheti karunga. So I actually thought he was messing with us. Okay. It's only when that moment of, coming back, transcribing, visiting, revisiting that footage. When I looked at what this kid was doing, he was actually grading. He doesn't have the childhood in which he can say, main ye banunga, even in fantasy. Everything is qualified by if my circumstances allow me. So if I'm able to study till 12, I will become a teacher, or whatever, I will become a teacher. If not, I will do this. If not, I will do this. And actually, when you put it in that, there was a clear sliding scale of opportunity, opening, and possible realities. So, that now I don't have a connect with that kid, but those are the things that you want to see, that how do you open up? So in those ways, actually, that's why I came to this towards the end, because both your works actually teach us also about different ways to engage with subjects, engage with what we want to explore, whether it's a subject, whether it's a person, whether it's a collective history, whatever that is, So I want to thank both of you very, very deeply. You've made us think, you've made us laugh, you've made us emotional through your work, and today's conversation has been super, super lovely. Is there anything either of you want to add, or, at the end of this?
I would love to embroidery if I can.
Please.
But anyway, I shall.
No, sure, of course.
Not mine. I was thinking from what Nina said. There was this old man, and I mean, I was connected to what you say, that we feel that people are messing with us. I mean, so it's also the fear of encountering. So half of it is just that you keep fearing, and then you keep going ahead little by little, and not fearing that. So I mean, it must be a mutual fear, right? That's
exactly.
In everything that we protect ourselves. Yeah, it's like me saying, I'm not going to see Nina's
trailer before I.
Before I cut mine, because then I'll get flustered. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that it's an endless process of sort of recognizing what it is that is bothering you, which is your own thing also in part.
Yeah.
So and just like how Nina had said, there was this really old man in Kashmir whom I went to learn embroidery from, because the place was messing up with my head. I mean, I couldn't deal with, what experience of life had I had, and what experience of life was, and I was really bad at embroidery. He'd keep chopping. He used to make me do little stitches and then get the kenchi and say, nahi ji, galat kara hai, and cut it all up and say, phir se kar lo. But he had this really, and he left a forest department job, he told me. So that was a revelation to me, कि अच्छा ऐसा भी होता है, हम कितनी चीजें assume करते हैं to do embroidery. Now his son was doing it as his father did embroidery, so he did embroidery. But there are so many interstices which we are, and so, and like how this really old rag that he used to pick up, it was just lying there. They use some kind of Vaseline kind of thing to do their printing, some kind of oil. वो इतना गंदा कपड़ा था, बट उसमें एक भी धागे पे एक भी दाग नहीं आया था. Means the embroidery stayed intact and the old cloth stayed intact. And I wish I had brought it here, but it'll take me a minute to find it. Otherwise, I'll just send it to you later in case you. Yeah, that's the only addition that I wanted to make. That I wish I had got it with me here to show it.
No, and so we are also doing multiple things. We're facing some fears, we're healing ourselves, we're doing multiple things as we produce as well as we create. So I mean, for me, like for us, in Reframe, there's been this thing about doing this conversation, because it's also to enrich ourselves, to enrich the thinking about work, because none of us make, I mean, in a sense, we all make in a vacuum. Post-COVID world, we make in greater vacuums, so there's even we haven't even had one physical meeting with all our fellows. So this idea that we actually have conversation, in which we would have asked people to come in, but then it would have been one kind of, resource person kind of format. So then you think differently and say, okay, how else can we keep ourselves, charged and thinking and inspired and joyous and troubled a bit, and, reflecting, saying, okay, maybe I messed up in that interview that day, or that conversation. So, that kind of thing is, and, you both have been wonderful and candid, and it's a joy. I'm going to play your work again at the end of this thing, just for our own viewing pleasure.